Welcome to the Judgment Free Zone and take number 3 of this podcast. You've downloaded the Alcohol-Free Marriage Podcast, episode number 4 for April 25th, 2022.
Psst. You're listening to a Red Corn Studios production. Don't tell your mama.
Now adjust the volume control so that the sound can be heard in all parts of the room.
Recorded live from the cornfields of Central Illinois, you're listening to the Alcohol-Free Marriage Podcast with Matt and Amy. Come and learn and share a journey with two former craft beer enthusiasts who went from daily drinkers to teetotalers and basically never lost their love for their life together.
Hey, a freak show!
It's a freak show, all right. It's a freak show that barely can keep the train on the tracks. How are you, kids? Welcome back to the Alcohol-Free Marriage Podcast. I am Matt, along with the always lovely Coach Amy. How are you, my love?
I'm good. I am still not used to you calling me Coach Amy when we're doing this.
Well, it sounds more fun than just Amy, so.
Well, no, it used to be Absolute Amy.
Well, yeah.
We'll have to tell a story about that
We'll tell
someday.
that story once upon a time in the future.
I don't think it's probably going to take them long to figure that out. Okay.
So anyway, welcome back to the podcast, kids. We appreciate all the support and feedback. Interestingly, our booze news story last week of the kindergartner bringing Jose Cuervo to school was very close to our friend Les's house. He goes, I am near that school.
Really?
He commented on the YouTube. So if you're watching this on the YouTubes,
really,
if you go to afmpodcast.com, you can find our link to the YouTubes and you can watch this train wreck live if you'd like, instead of just in your ear holes.
Please watch the train wreck.
Please watch the train wreck, because if you are watching the train wreck and you've watched previous train wrecks, you will know that our background keeps changing because I haven't decided what I want to do. And this setup we're doing right now today, Amy, is way easier than our other one.
It is so easy, but the reason we switched to the other one is because you were having difficulties with your knees.
Yeah.
And
Amy's
like,
idea today was, well, we'll just cut a hole in the desk. I'm like, I think that may be a little drastic.
It's a little aggressive.
That's a little
however, switching sides of the... Oh, that was weird.
Sorry, that was me.
Switching sides actually was easy. It was easy. It was like, okay.
You switched just like that, Amy.
It's
You're
like,
all about that.
I can be on this side. It's a little odd, but I'm good with it.
Yeah, you're all about the odd. So we've been having a busy week, kids, with shooting videos and Amy working hard and road trips up to Chicago. So we're squeezing in a podcast before I catch a big old jet airliner tomorrow. But we wanted to be sure you got this quality podcast content to put in, again, in your ear holes. The drink of the week, kids, is actually not what I'm drinking right now. We'll save that for another time. But last night at dinner in Chicago, we had a non-alcoholic beer we had not heard of called Einbecker. And I never took German, so excuse me when I pronounce the rest of this. Brauheren non-alcoholic pills. Brauheren?
Just say it's a Pilsner.
It's a Pilsner. Anyway, it's a product of Germany. Surprise, surprise.
It was nice.
It's good.
It was a good beer. We, once again, we did not feel like we were being left out.
We were not missing out?
We were not missing out. We enjoyed it. I think the thing I like the best about an NA beer is I'm good with just one.
Yeah.
Sometimes two, but rarely. It's like,
Agreed.
Yeah, I like that. That's great. And I'm good.
Well, yeah, it's like, well, I don't need to spend $6 for another, They don't do free refills on those. But if anybody does know why non-alcoholic beers are usually like, not all of them. There's a lot that are 12 ounces. I think the one I'm drinking right now is a 12-ounce beer. Yes, it's 12 ounces. But there's a lot that come in at, maybe it's a German thing because Heineken doesn't do 12-ounce non-alcoholic. And this was a German one that's not 12 ounces.
I don't know.
If you know why German beers, the German alcoholics anyway, are not 12 ounces, let me know. Feedback at afmpodcast.com.
I do have a drink, not a beer.
You do have a drink.
I have a drink today, and mine is the blood orange hop water.
Hop water is really good.
Oh, I like it a lot, and I don't like hoppy
Yeah,
things.
you are not a pro hoppy person.
Yeah, so it's very good.
It's very good. Very good.
Very refreshing.
All right, Amy. Well, moving right along, that is our drink. Let us know what you're drinking. Feedback at afmpodcast.com. As I keep looking for the feedback, like, subscribe. I don't know. You know what? I'm all over the place today because Amy came upstairs and said, let's do the podcast. I said, okay, let's go. And
We're on a schedule.
We are on a schedule.
We are going to stick to the schedule.
Keeping on the
We're not going to disappear like we do on a lot of other things. And you do not hear back from us for 7 years.
We love you all and we will not ghost you.
So we are not doing that.
So let's move on to item number 4, Amy. That is... Booze news of the week. I just love that sound effect just to do that. All right, this week's booze news is brought to you by a National Institute of Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism study that says, as I get my nose a lot closer, it finds that alcohol-related deaths in 2020 were so high for 16 to 64-year-olds that they exceeded the number of deaths from COVID-19. Previously, the average annual increase was little more than 2% between 2019 and 2020. That skyrocketed to more than 25%. That's a 23% increase, kids. The largest rise in mortality occurred in people 35 to 44 years old. The rates of death associated with alcohol increase rose across all age groups. Let's see. That has to be a typo. Hold on. What point bring?
While points to a particular worrisome trend.
No, there was. I didn't put it in here. Oh, yeah. Drinking among women increased 41% in the first several months of COVID-19.
Well, women had it was rough on everyone, but a lot of women ended up leaving their jobs. They were homeschooling and they were keeping their job. It was just a horrible mess. And then the alcohol industry just loves to feed us.
Well, it made you feel good. You had the kids at home,
and you have more time on your hand, and it really escalated.
Well, we had it easy. We didn't have to do homeschool all of a sudden, so
Well, we were homeschooling, but our kids are older.
Yeah, I could not imagine having little ones.
And we were really, having little ones and that, but then just having that extended period of time where, I'm at home.
What I would like to see with this data is what we see in 2022. Did this turn around? Are we getting better again? Was that just like a blip in the data?
I don't know.
Or are we just highlighting like a high point just to...
The predictions are it's supposed to be worse.
Well, you know what? If you do decide to keep drinking, another side booze news thing I found, Amy, you can volunteer. It's not on your notes. I just came up with it.
Oh.
You can volunteer, this is a real thing, to be a drunk for the police. So they need to train their officers on how to identify an intoxicated person, how drunk they are, that type of thing. So they literally pick up volunteers, bring them to the station. They drink, and they monitor their drunkenness because they want to have people at a certain drunk level. Then take them out, and then they do pretend drunk driver pullovers. So they can train the officer on what to look for, how they act, and with real drunk people versus somebody pretending.
A controlled situation that they have them. Oh, wow.
So if you aren't quitting to drink, I guess there's an opportunity for you to give back to your community in a very strange way. But hey, it's a thing. I mean, people are out there drinking, and officers need to know how to identify it. So, what better way than doing it with real drunk people?
Well, I think that's actually a really good idea.
Yeah.
I mean,
they bought them pizza. I mean, if they have a sober version, I'll just take the free pizza. I'll be the control. Oh, I was drinking non-alcoholic beer, officer. You can't. Got you.
There you go. Okay.
Which, side note, I don't think you can have open containers of non-alcoholic beer. I don't think that's legal, but probably not. Still 0.5. Still 0.5, kids. So, well, less than 0.5. Anyway.
So does that mean that I can't eat a banana in my car? Because that's the thing where they say that really there's about that much alcohol in a banana.
I don't know. That's
just saying.
That's more. If you put it in a can, then probably
put the banana
in a can.
I'm gonna smash it up.
Here's your banana can, kids.
Anyways,
who doesn't love a banana in the can? Wait, that's not the way I meant that at all. Moving on. All right, Amy. The last 2 weeks we covered your story.
Yes.
And just to do the easy grab for content this week, I believe we're doing my story.
Yes, we're gonna let Matt
share his story.
That is the goofiest. That is so goofy.
We're going back in time, Amy. That's what we have to have that for.
Okay.
So where do I begin, children?
Where are you going to begin?
Come gather round Red Boy's chair and listen to his tales of alcohol.
You are a goof. Are you a little nervous about this?
I don't think. No, I'm more nervous about how to make this a cohesive story. But
okay.
I don't know. I didn't drink a lot in high school. I mean, once in a while we would out in the golf course, but nothing to write home about. Not that you would write home about it. So that was pretty standard, quote unquote. It really didn't start till college. Literally the day I was dropped off at college, all the guys in the dorm, we had one guy who was 21. And in Carbondale at the time, bar entry age was 18, which basically equated to a drinking age of 18. So that was a horrible design, to be honest. But we took full advantage of it. So the bars all would say the same thing. Well, you just need somebody 21 to buy it. You didn't have to be 21 to drink it because they didn't care. The cops, if they came by, did, but the people who ran the establishment didn't care. So anyway, got dropped off and I got totally hammered. I had no idea of how to control my alcohol consumption. So,
Do you feel like you went kind of wild because you hadn't really done anything over the
I don't know
top?
if I was going wild. I just didn't have a clue what I was doing. I was just like, hey, okay, I'll keep drinking this. I feel good and I feel more good.
And did you have any friends? Or were you just going like blindly in?
It was just a group of guys that met on the dorm floor and we just all went out and so that was rough. And I learned a few different lessons, like hard liquor takes some time because we wanted to go out. We thought it'd be fun to go to a movie and let's get drunk and go to a movie because sure, that sounds like a great idea. But anyway, so we started doing shots of Jack Daniels and, this isn't working. Well, I'm not getting drunk. Well, 5 shots in 20 minutes, then you'll just start throwing up.
Oh my God.
That would be why I don't really like a lot of whiskeys and Jack Daniel type things.
Oh my goodness.
So that was bad. But I mean, college, I was in a fraternity, so it was mainly, binge drinking on the weekends, Friday afternoon club, Saturdays. I guess there was some Thursday. I guess there was probably Wednesday, whatever night. There was like Wednesday pitcher night, what is it? A nickel for a pitcher of beer.
There was what? Nickel, dime, quarter?
I don't know, there was always something. Friday
$1.
was you get a 40 of a brown bag of 40 of beer on the couch on the front lawn because that's classy. But anyway. So that was pretty. Well, that was pretty standard. Standard. But everybody does.
Kind of like what we would call normal college.
Yeah, what you expect a college kid to be doing. But where I think it really changed, I don't know if many people can kind of pinpoint the change, and maybe everybody can, is when my senior year, my roommate had a class every Thursday night. Pretty sure it's Thursday. Whenever Friends was on. So Thursday night he had a class, and I don't remember what week it was. Anyway, I decided I'd go get a 6-pack of beer, and I just have a beer while I watch the show. Well, it didn't take too many weeks, I don't think, until I decided that was my weekly thing. Like every Thursday, I got a 6-pack of beer and drank beer and watched Friends by myself. Which on its own seems like, okay, that's just like a one-night thing, but I think that started that pattern of every day, or not every day, but drinking alone, having this like habit, right? Like this is what I do. It's Thursday. I watch Friends and I drink a beer. This is what I do. And so whether I wanted to or not necessarily, it's like, that's what I do. So that's what I did. I don't know where that kind of switched to more of the, maybe it was probably once I graduated and got into the work world and I had my own apartment. So then I had beer at home. And so I'd come home from work and then, Thursday probably turned into Wednesday, Thursday, and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So at some point it became, 2 or 3, who knows how many beers every evening. I do remember getting drunk enough one time that I fell asleep before the pizza guy got there and Papa John's would no longer deliver to my apartment. So I don't know if anybody else has ever been Papa John's drunk, but I was.
Yeah, they don't take kindly to that,
no,
do they?
And I must have been pretty avid because that door was really loud. But anyway, so fast forward to when you and I started dating, and I remember my roommate saying something to the effect of like, oh, he drinks every night or something. You're like, oh, you do? And I'm like, no, I played it down, blah, blah, blah. But then you and I drank, a decent amount in our dating
Well, we
years.
were dating, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say I still didn't drink every day then. I mean, that was not.
I slowed down when we started dating because you weren't, so I didn't, it's that new girlfriend kind of scenario,
Yeah, and we once again, we both worked for the radio station, and not to say that we're blaming that, but the lifestyle and being in our young 20s, early 30s, and going to every remote.
Yeah. Well, we had
every remote,
we had
not
young
every,
friends and
but,
radio, and that's
yeah.
we all hung out, we all went drinking, and it's just.
Yeah, that was our entertainment.
Yeah.
Still is like that for
right.
most,
So I would say it's sort of, was status quo for many years, and it was, I'd bring home a case of Miller Lite and load up the crisper drawer in the bottom of the fridge, and I don't know, you'd probably tell me better than I can tell myself, 3, 4, 5 beers every night, just while I'm doing everything. I mean, I wasn't like necessarily just sitting around just drinking. Like, it's just I always had a beer with me while I was doing whatever I was doing. At some point, it tipped to where, especially like kids' activities, and it's probably when I got back into the hard liquor, because I started having these stomach problems, and I'm like, well, it's probably because of the hops in the beer or something.
I don't remember you ever.
Not having stomach problems.
Not having stomach
well,
problems.
It must have gotten worse.
Maybe
Probably because I
worse?
drank more beer. I don't know. But I found, at least for a little while, that if I drank gin and tonic, it wasn't as bad.
Oh.
Whatever. But I think it was more in my head, to be
I think
honest.
eventually it did get.
Yeah. But then gin and tonics, you have a little less control. Go from a light beer to a hard alcohol mixer. And, sometimes you pour the shot glass, sometimes you just heavy hand it, and that becomes a challenge. Anyway, I think when it started to get into that, I think because then the nightly volume of alcohol probably went up. Then it started to become like, if we had an activity and like, oh, I didn't write down the thing that I wanted to. Did I put down my thing? No, I didn't. Anyway, hold on. Did I put down my quote? I did not. No, because I thought I'd remember it. But it was basically, we have like, if we're going to an event, does that event have alcohol? Because if it doesn't, I don't want to go, or I need to figure out a way, like even like a school function at night. It's like, all right, well, then I'm going to down a couple of drinks before I go, make it through, quote unquote, make it through whatever the event was. Then when I get home, I need, air quotes again, if you're watching the video, need a couple more before I go to bed, because, just trying to keep my brain in order, I guess, probably at that point. But it was like, yeah, if the event didn't have alcohol, we wouldn't. Or if I was traveling somewhere, like, how was I going to get my alcohol once I was there? Or, not going, especially like if it's like a work trip, I don't want to go out with people. I'm just leave me in my hotel room and out, because I can just, nobody will judge. No, if I go out with a group of worker friends, I can't drink as much as if I just stay in my hotel room. So I don't want to go out as much, or I go out briefly and then I have an excuse why I can't stay out longer, or I don't want to go, because then I can just drink in my room alone and nobody can judge me by the volume that I drink, or on the plane or whatever.
True.
And I drank on the plane just because I do have anxiety about flying. That's a whole nother thing, but drinking isn't necessary. But, one leads to two. You're hanging out in the airport, altitude has a whole deal. Anyway, so it just all kind of came to that point where, it wasn't like I woke up one day under a bridge, but I think
Do you feel like things was there any point where things kind of really changed? Like, I mean, I know you're, the anxiety thing, but was there ever like for me, I remember there was not an exact moment, but I remember like starting to drink because I needed it to relax, or I needed it to, I'm stressed out and I've got to have this.
No, I think that's exactly why I would do the things I would do, because like I felt like in the evenings I needed that. So if I didn't have the opportunity to be around or have it, I would just be anxious, because it's like, well, here I am and I can't. I think it wasn't necessarily that I needed it, is the fact that I couldn't have it, if that makes any sense. Like, it's like, oh, well, I can't get it if I want it, or, my glass is almost empty. The fear of running out or whatever. And I think that's where my brain started to go, wait a minute, now we're, instead of me drinking because or when I wanted to, it was alcohol controlling me.
Okay.
And I was doing things to get the alcohol versus just drinking it when it was available. And I think that's probably started to become the point. I don't know what year that was. I was on that trip, and I just had this kind of moment where I was just like, that's just what I'm doing. Why am I in this? I think I just got stuck in the cycle of like, what am I accomplishing by doing this? What is this bringing to my life? Mm-hmm. Waking up.
I remember that.
You spend more brain power. I spend, in the morning, it's like, oh, am I hungover? Do I smell like alcohol? Do I need to, wash myself so I don't smell like booze in the morning? Do I still smell like booze when I go to work? All these different things that you work on and think about, like, how do I get alcohol? Where do I hide the alcohol? What do I do? You know, all these little different things to try and maintain this high functioning, high level of alcohol, but not make anybody see it. And it's just, it wears on you. It does. It wears on you so hard. To the point I was just like, and then when you kind of came to me and said, you know, you were going to take a break, and as we talked about all your different steps, that's when I kind of saw the door, because I had tried it, not really well, but.
Well, I remember you had come to me a few times and you're like, nope, you had an app.
Oh yeah. I was going to count my drink.
You were going to count your drinks, and you had the app, and I remember that, and I was like, okay, like, all right, that's cool. You know, not that because I never really, I mean, I don't remember us ever talking like.
Why?
Why? Like, I don't remember ever saying to you, you drink too much. Did I?
No. I mean, there would have been nights where he's like, oh, I think you've had too much, but I don't think you've ever said like, hey, you know, are you drinking again tonight? Like, I think because it was such a long period, it always been such how it works. It's just like.
Well, I mean, it was just pretty much our life. Yeah. And it was just kind of that habit. Yep. It had become that habit. And I do remember when you're talking about events, I mean, I remember you and I being right there together going, I don't want to go to this event. There's nothing to drink. Yeah. And There's remember.
No bar. Like, who does this without a bar?
Yeah. And I do remember.
Who has a PTA meeting without a bar?
We did not say that. But I do remember having a couple different times where it was like an attitude correction. Like, I remember we were going to go to a football game or something, and I'm like, you have to go, or
no.
It was just something. I'm like, no, you have to go. How are we going to get to know anybody if you don't go? And you did go, and it was at the school. So this was a different event. It was getting ready for a football game or something. And then that's how you met our friend Mark, and you were just like, oh, I had a great time, and we did this. And then it turned into we would go. But I mean, you were having like something before you would go, but at least you were.
It was a step in the right direction.
It was like, oh, okay. But then we took a couple steps back, because then it was like, oh, well, now our kid can drive, and let's go to the bar.
Yeah, when you get that designated driver.
After halftime, we'll go to the bar for a while. Oh my gosh. I'm just
and that's their thing, just of, you know, all the evenings of, I probably shouldn't be driving and focusing, which those are the type of things that haunt me now when I'm driving, sober, obviously, of I was one of those people. You know, I'm just the one who's lucky enough that I didn't get caught, right? That I was one of those people at all hours of the day or all hours of the night. And I'm out there, I'm like, especially at certain times that I know is probably more peak. I'm like, I could just be one turn away from running into myself, right?
Yeah, I know.
And it became a lot of those, not to say little, but those multiple things sort of adding up. And even once you quit, and I said I was going to moderate, which moderation is I never thought I would say this because it seemed like, oh, it's a great idea, moderation. It is a bigger pain. I'd rather just drink or be sober. The whole moderation thing is a pain in the ass, personally. I never thought I would say that because it seemed like a perfect solution, right? It's like, oh, because you try and do one night only or one day only. And like you my doctor, which we'll get to that in a minute, said, you know, you can have 2 a day, but that doesn't mean you can have none all week and have 12 on Friday. So it's like, oh, well then, you know, then you have one Thursday or Tuesday, whatever. And that just stretches back out. But then, I guess it's a lie, but I sort of, what I started doing was, oh, here's my 2 regular beers, Amy. See, I'm moderating. I'm only having these 2 beers. And now I'm going to have this non-alcoholic beer poured in this glass that you didn't see me pour the vodka in first.
I remember you told me that.
Yeah. So it was like.
And that had been after, that you waited, Oh, it
had been a while, yeah.
Because we were cleaning out the.
And I had like an empty bottle of vodka.
And you're like, well, here, I really wasn't a vodka drinker until I was, something like. I don't remember if that was. I started,
yeah. But the funny thing is, like, who was I lying to? Because I don't think you would have said anything if I had just had a 3rd regular beer. And it's like, oh well, at least I'm, you know. Even to you, I was trying to put on this facade of like, oh, see, I'm doing a great job moderating, and then that even like wore on me harder because it's like. You're still as drunk as you were before, you moron.
Oh man,
And now not only are you drinking more than you want to, now you're hiding more from your wife than you want to. So this is working out really good for you. Way to moderate,
Oh man.
So that's I think when it came down to, was it 20? What the hell year is this? Oh, it's 20, the end of 2020, right before 2021 when I quit. I was like, and I hadn't gone more than 5 days not drinking. Even on a mission trip, like we drink on the Friday at the end of the week. So that was maybe 4 days, 5 days. It was like the most I'd not drank in
But you
20
felt
years.
good. You're like, oh, that was a great reset, which it was.
Yeah.
And
It's like, look, I went 5 days.
Yeah.
White knuckling the whole way, but.
What about your health?
Oh, so.
Because that was one of the things that.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So.
2020.
Yeah, so I went to the doctor, and some numbers were off, of course, blah, blah, blah. And then they do scans or whatever. Anyway, long story short, I had elevated liver enzymes, and I had a fatty liver, which is, if you're familiar, is a train ride just down the tracks to other cirrhosis and the liver problems. So you want to try and take care of that early while you can reverse it until you can't reverse it. And so I'm like, okay, well, that's kind of a wake-up call. You realize I'm not 20 years old. I can't pull this off anymore.
And you came clean with that when I decided to take my break.
Yeah. And I was like, of course, again, not wanting to do the real work, so that mental work to kind of quit drinking, right? Just like, give me a magic pill so I don't feel like I want to drink, right? Which there are some actually good drugs out there that do that if you need it. But I talked to my doctor thinking, oh, I'll talk to him and he'll help me quit drinking. Like he'll prescribe me one of these solutions, right? To help me get over this hump or whatever. He proceeds to tell me, and I wish I was joking, but I'm not, proceeds to tell me that don't beat myself up over a couple drinks a day. As long as I only have 2 a day, the quote unquote type of fatty liver I have should correct itself, in a few months. So he basically said, go ahead and keep drinking, just only drink 2 a day, which I'm like,
when you're talking about an addictive substance,
right. Just do less crack.
Yeah.
I mean, basically.
All right. Well, no, it's like, okay, well, you know what? You're smoking a pack a day. Just smoke a half a pack.
Right.
And things will correct itself.
In some way, quitting smoking was easier because you still get the drug, you just don't have the physical part.
Well, the way you did it, it was.
And quitting drinking was the opposite of that. Like you can't have the drug, but you can obviously still drink.
Well, and in your doctor's defense, I know him, and we've been at events with him. I mean, this is something where everyone, I mean, not everyone, but so many people do drink, and doctors drink, and nurses drink, and
like we've talked about before,
there's a disconnect.
If you're talking to somebody about you're wanting to quit, and they're adamant about, well, why would you want to quit? Sometimes there's a reflection on themselves. And I remember being that person. It's like, well, I'm not going to hang around people who don't drink because that makes me have to recognize the amount I am drinking. Mm-hmm. So I want to hang out with people who pace about how I pace, so I feel better about the level, or I feel more normal.
Yeah.
Right? So if I hang out with people who are teetotalers or who aren't really drinking, then I'm just like, oh, crap, I am drinking a lot, So
no, I mean, and it does make you feel bad. I remember that. It was like, oh man, I am drinking more than I want to.
So needless to say, the doctor did not help. But
no, that didn't help. And
but just like you did obviously the Naked Mind program, I did that January live. Is that what it would have been?
Yeah, it was a live alcohol experiment in 2021 because you decided that. You're like, hey, you heard Coach Scott, and you were like, hey, wait a minute, there's a guy? Wait a minute.
That's partially why I wanted to do this podcast too, is because there's so many, and maybe it's just because you're the coach.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, I guess we need to invest in mute buttons for microphones.
Sorry.
But there's so many, and maybe it's because women talk about their feelings more than men, I guess, I don't know. But then and everything you would play was like, oh, it's always women, always women. I'm like, I guess guys don't quit drinking. And then I heard Scott, and I'm like, oh, there's a guy in the group. All right, I can maybe do this then. But anyway, I actually took the time to do the work and do the program. And I honestly went in just saying, I'm doing 30 days. If I can do 30 days, I'm cool, right? Like they say your liver takes care of it. It does a lot of healing in 30 days and blah, 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 blah. Anyway. Amy didn't make me, nobody made me keep quitting. That's the right way to say it. But I don't know, I get to the end of the 30 days and I felt good. And I'm like, I didn't feel like there was a reason to drink. Right. And so I went another 30 days and another 30 days. And now I don't know how many days I'm up to. What is it? Right.
I don't know. We really don't count anymore. I know that what I'm at right now, just because,
oh, there's my app right there. I use the Sober Counter app with this. And so this is funny. So anyway, it's 478 days and 17 hours. The interesting thing is the app I use, what I call this is called what? Sobriety Counter. It's just a free basic app. But you tell it how many drinks you're having a day, and then it keeps track of how many drinks you've passed on. So in my 478 days, I've passed on 1,641 drinks. That's a lot. I think that's the number that I started seeing that really opened my eyes. Because, 2 or 3 a day, yeah, it's not a big deal. A few more on the weekend, not a big deal. When you start adding it up, like I did a graphic of like how many cases of beer it was at one point. I'm like, holy crap.
Well, but did you do like, okay, when you're looking at like on the alcohol use disorder chart, and you're looking at like how many drinks you can have a day. Like for me, I was always like, oh, I can have 1 or 2 a day. Right. I think that was what it used to be.
Right. I think I was supposed to be 2 a day.
Yeah. And then when you look at it and you look at it, okay, so if you only had 2 drinks a day, 7 days, 14 drinks. Well,
but my number would only be like 900.
One more drink though. So that's like drinking like, like within your means, like, okay, no more than you're supposed to. But then when you cross over one more drink, then you're into now
it's a problem.
Then it's a problem. It's like, wait a minute, how do we go from 14? Okay, we're down to 15 and I have a problem. And for me, I didn't look at that for a long time after I had stopped. And when I did, I was like, holy cow. Oh my gosh, Amy.
Well, and our other thing was like, oh, you only have a couple. Well, all right, well, I'll have 2. Like, our family, we don't know a 5-ounce wine pour. I don't know who does. Right. Or, back to the gin and tonics. Well, I'll be a little more gin, a little less tonic. All right. I only had 2.
Uh-huh. Well, we play mind games.
Well, and just like your boxes of wine, I went into like, handles of gin because it's cheaper. But, if I just got like a 5th of gin, it really would highlight how much I was drinking because I would see how far down the bottle. I'm like, I'm drinking that much, and feeling, better than I probably should have by drinking that much. I mean, relatively speaking.
Well, right. Your tolerance had built.
Right. But the two, I think the challenge I had with that is, I think even 1 is probably easier to cap at than 2. Because once you go into 2, the third one just comes way too easy, I think. Right. And then it's a slippery slope.
Yeah. And when you think about
and everybody only has 2 drinks before they drive too. So, that's a famous number.
Well, but Amy, remember.
What?
Yeah. Because that was one that I'm just saying do you think, even with like the diagnosis, because that would have been, I think that happened like in late February or March.
Yeah.
And we didn't have our like talk until like the end of March. Do you think, as you were progressing through the year, where did you think it was going to go? I mean, because I remember you were going to go in and have more blood work done and different things like that. Did you really think, because I know you were like doing the little vodka thing, did you really think that the numbers would really improve? Or?
Well, I think that was a challenge. Like, I knew it's like, I'm not making enough of a change for it to make a difference. And I think the biggest thing was you start realizing you're spinning your own Russian roulette revolver, right? Like, I'm doing this to myself. I would have nobody to blame but myself. Nobody forced me to drink this, and I was given a warning shot across the bow, and then I kept doing it.
But you were given kind of an okay. You were given a pass.
Oh, yeah.
And that...
I could have taken that as a, hey, you know. All I say is that's why married men live longer, because certain people watch out for them usually, or they don't.
Well, but I wasn't, like, I will say, we only had one conversation.
I will say we
only had one conversation where I remember you had started to drink more, and probably I was like, I can't go down this road again.
Right.
And that's probably when you started hiding it. Because
Maybe. Oh, yeah.
I bet it was,
maybe.
because I was like, oh my gosh, I can't
So
do
it looks like
this.
I'm playing along. I was being a supportive spouse, Amy.
You were actually, but you really were supportive. I mean, for me, you never, ever said, oh, well, maybe you could have one. You never did that.
But at the same time, I could never have been the first one to go without, like, oh, I'm going to quit and you go ahead and keep drinking. I could have never done that in a million years. Like, if you had never decided to, I don't know if I would have, if I would have just kept beating myself up forever or what. I don't know where I would have gone. I don't know.
Well, I'm glad you
But
didn't
Amy,
have
you
to.
have a lot of tactics. What? Let's see.
That was a rough segue.
Yeah, right here. All right, Amy, give me a tactic that would probably did help me, but would help somebody if they're in one of these banana boats.
Well, I'm just going
Back
to
to
do
the bananas again.
I'm going to do one.
Yes. Because you have many.
And this tactic, actually, I learned from the High Five Habit, which I love Mel Robbins. And
She legitimately had me cut her out of vinyl a high five hand to put on the mirror in our bathroom so she could high five it.
High five myself.
And she does every morning. High five.
Morning, people.
It's a thing. Okay.
You got
Look
to
it up.
feel good about yourself.
Yep.
And we'll go into that another time. We won't go into that. But this technique is to settle you into your body. And
So this is not the high five challenge you're talking about.
No, but this is giving your heart a high five.
Okay.
So we'll do this together.
Oh no, I didn't know I was signing up for this. Okay.
All right, so Matt, you're gonna put your hands on your heart.
Oh, both of them. Okay.
Yep,
Both hands
and
on your
you're
heart,
gonna-
kids.
And you're gonna push.
If you're driving, don't try this.
You're gonna make this. You're gonna, like, think of it as you were hugging your heart. So you're just gonna give some
give myself
pressure.
a self-compression.
Yep.
Okay.
And you're gonna take in a couple of big, deep breaths.
Which is great podcast sounding. Okay. I'm breathing. I'm
So
alive.
then,
My heart's
all
beating. I
right.
can breathe. All right, good. Is this an
So
EMT class? What am I doing here?
You're gonna breathe in.
I did. Okay.
You're gonna say the following: I'm okay, I am safe, and I'm loved. And then you're gonna breathe in again and breathe out, and you're gonna say it again: I'm okay, I'm safe, and I'm loved. Your turn, since
Oh.
you're not joining me.
I'm good enough. I'm smart enough. And darn it,
And
people
it's
like
not
me.
that. No.
That's what it feels like.
I know, but I'm just saying, if you
I
do
know.
this, what it does is it actually calms your nervous system down. It settles you into your body, and you need to do it until you start to feel that anxiety start to subside.
Well, it's sort
So
of
you
the talk
just
about taking a break and the deep breath. Then,
take a deep breath.
right.
And so breath work really does work, but I just,
Even if you don't hug yourself and give yourself a heart palpitation.
But it does, saying those words and saying them out loud, because your brain hears that, and it's more effective when you actually say it out loud.
Now, I'm not trying to be a
than-
smart ass because of Saturday Night Live, but are you supposed to look at yourself in a mirror when you do this or no?
No.
Okay. Just asking.
Okay.
Just
No. And the reason is there'll be a lot of people who don't know. Like Mel's story is, she was actually, as a child, she was molested. And so this happened at a sleepover, but she never she was not making that connection as she got older. She would wake up and she was always in a panic attack when she would wake up in the morning. So she started using this technique so that first thing in the morning she could just settle herself before she got out of bed. And so that is.
But you don't have to use this first thing in the morning. You could use it anytime.
You don't, but
It's a good way to start the day. Start centered.
well, this is part of my morning routine that I do, and so I actually do use this. I don't use it when I'm still in bed, But when I'm planning my day, when I'm going to get started to plan my day, I actually do this technique to get me planning my day and get me calm so that I'm not all worked up about all the different things that I have to do for the day.
There you go. And you're not burning a bunch of brain power thinking about how much booze you're going to not drink or drink.
And then, what else did I want to, do we have anything else?
No. Oh, I did find the part that I was going to talk about. Do you worry about running out of alcohol? When you travel, do you worry that you can't get alcohol? Do you have trouble sleeping without it? If you rarely go a day without alcohol and reach for it whenever you are anxious or depressed, that's a sign you need to rethink your drinking. And that I copied that down because that's kind of where I was. It's like, yeah, I didn't need to sleep. I can sleep just fine, almost too well. But
it is amazing how you are able to sleep. Like I have
my sleep didn't really, I think it's better sleep probably, but
for me, I'm better now. I have really gotten better.
We could do a whole podcast about Amy's sleep challenges.
Well,
not alcohol related even at all.
Now, do you want me to go ahead and do my little thing that I was going to tell you about that's coming up?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, well, you guys do know that I'm a This Naked Mind certified coach. And
hence Coach Amy.
There is a live alcohol experiment that is going to be starting in May. So I will also put that link in there. But another one of my coach friends, what we have really discovered is that you really need connection. I mean, it's very much talked about, but we've put together a companion program that we will be running in conjunction with it for 6 weeks. And if you are interested, please reach out because we will be taking you through tactics each week. And we are going to be doing a small group coaching program where you are going to have access to 2 coaches who have been through this at different points. And I will say we are gearing this more towards women, but if you are a man who wants to jump in, we are welcoming you as well.
And the next month I'll host one. No.
But we are doing this. We are really excited about it. But if you are interested, just reach out to me. I'll put my contact information as well in the show notes.
There you go. Or amy@joyontheotherside.com.
That's true. You can reach me there.
You can if you made it this
far.
far.
Or message me or whatever. All of those different
You can Venmo
ways.
her. That would be awesome.
There
you go. All right, children. So, hey, that's it for this week for the Alcohol-Free Marriage Podcast. Thank you for joining us. I hope you learned lots. I know I shared lots, so there you go. If you didn't know that about me, now you do. It's out there. It's out there for the world to know.
Are you feeling good?
Well, it's no secret. Whatever. I mean, I guess it was, but I'm not the perfect angel you all thought I was. All right. If you want to,
I don't think anybody has ever thought that you were a perfect angel, Matt Edwards.
If you want to email us, that's feedback at Feedback at alcohol. Jeez, you threw me off. Feedback at afmpodcast.com. Please like, subscribe, leave a note, share the love. But that is it for us. Wishing you peace and love from the cornfield. I'm Matt, along with along with Coach Amy, and we are out.